Street photography is one of the most rewarding artistic practices I've ever tried. It's fast-paced, it's adrenaline-fueled, and it really allows you to see and experience the world in a different way. It's also incredibly challenging. You need patience, determination, and a lot of practice. You have to be willing to fail over and over and over again. When I was learning street photography, I spent a lot of time feeling frustrated, and maybe you can relate. If you're just starting your street photography journey, here are the 5 most important things I've learned in my journey, just to keep tucked away in your mental back pocket, hopefully help you get the shots that you want, build your confidence, and make a sweet portfolio. Tip number 1, don't stab people in the back or shoot people in the... Don't take pictures of the backs of people's heads. This seems like a weird tip, but trust me on this. I see so many photos of the backs of people's heads. I understand it's way less scary than taking photos of the fronts of people when they can see you, but a big part of gaining confidence in street photography is deliberately putting yourself in situations that are a bit scary. And also the backs of people's heads are not particularly interesting. Instead, take photos of faces. Faces tell much more interesting stories than the backs of people's heads. There are so many people doing the back of the head thing that your work will struggle to stand out in a meaningful way. I know it can be scary to take candids in the street. Trust me, given enough practice and enough leaving your comfort zone, you'll gain so much confidence. I'm actually currently writing a video about how to boost your confidence with street photography. So if you're interested in that, subscribe so you don't miss it. And if you are already subscribed, let me know what you would like to see in that video. Tip number 2 is go wide. Maybe you've seen those TikTok street photographers that like snipe people on 400mm lenses. And it's just kind of like a portrait that happens to be in the street. I think you'll have a much better time if you pick a lens in the 24 to 50 sort of range. I like to use a 28, a lot of people like 35. There's a couple of reasons for this. First of all, when you're shooting with a wide lens, you have to get closer, right? And that comes with so many benefits. When you're closer, you can see more, you can spot little expressions and gestures, and you can find the story you're trying to tell easier. But also when you're on a wide lens, you can pack more of the surrounding environment into the frame. A lot of people call this context, but it's really just extra stuff in the world. And I think that that helps tell a good story. Shooting big telephoto zooms is less scary, of course, but it cuts out all of that extra information that tells us a story about this person. Where are they? What are they doing? What kind of shoes do they have? And I also think that shooting those long lenses really removes you physically from the thing happening, which isn't as much fun. Tip number 3 is gonna freak some of you out, I think, but stop touching your camera settings. When I go on a photo walk, I get my exposure kind of in the ballpark, I get my zone focus set up, and then for the rest of the day, I do not touch my settings. I don't move the focus ring, I don't change my shutter speed, nothing. I think when you're walking around in the city doing street photography, you want to be doing 2 things. Focusing really hard on spotting interesting things to take pictures of. 2, actually enjoying a nice walk, right? Spending the whole time worrying about your settings being perfect is the fastest and best way to ruin both of these things. If you're worried about exposure, just use auto ISO. The reason this can freak some people out is because when you're new to photography, there's this massive learning curve where you have to figure out what the heck settings are. And so for a while, it's all you think about is just like settings and the exposure triangle. And I get it, like it's really hard to wrap your head around at first and it's confusing. But if you can get past that, forget about the exposure triangle and just shoot, I think you'll have more fun. Bonus tip, if you want some inspiration and regular tips and tricks, you should join my free email community. There's a link in the description. It's not just an email list, like you can email me back as well, so we can chat. So if you have any questions about street photography or film photography or cinematography or boots, fire away. Tip number 4 is the most important thing I've ever learned about art. My theory about art is that art is a medium for telling stories. Paintings, sculptures, photography, all of it is a way to tell a story. So your focus with street photography should be to tell stories. And it's not like you have to tell like War and Peace or like write a Dostoevsky novel with your street photo. The best street photos are the ones where there's some sort of question or motivational feeling that the picture creates. Maybe it's as simple as the viewer going, what the heck is going on here? Or maybe it's a story about somebody doing something odd in public. Or it could be about an individual that's part of something bigger than themselves. Maybe it's just a really simple story about some people having fun. Point is this, street photography is so much more than just taking pictures of strangers in the street. When I first started getting really serious about street photography, I met Matt Stewart and I showed him some of my work. One thing he said to me that's permanently stuck with me was, this photo could be a picture of your granddad on holiday. He's right, and it's not a super compelling street photo. Sure, it's a stranger on the street, but to the viewer who doesn't know that they're a stranger to me, it could have been my granddad on holiday. That's the most important aspect to a good street photo, the story it tells. The final tip, and the one that I really want you to take away from this video, is do street photography for you. You and me and everyone else watching this video has been conditioned to think that the mark of a good photo is how many likes it got on Instagram. But we both know that the age of the Instagram banger is over, and that even if you have 2,000 followers, you'll get 3 likes. Look, street photography demands patience. It takes a long time to get good, and an even longer time to build a body of work that says something. Putting pressure on yourself to get bangers for the gram every weekend is just gonna burn you out. A nice replacement goal is to think about the sort of photos that you want to have in a book in 5 years' time. It sounds like a horribly distant goal, but in reality, it's going to be 5 years' time anyway. Yes, you should share your work, don't hoard it in secret, but the real value in street photography is capturing the way you uniquely see the world as you. That's what you should focus on. Again, I cannot stress this enough. There are no rules in street photography. You can disregard everything I've said if you want to. Just get out there, take some photos, see the world, and see what happens. You never know. You might get out there, try it for a while, and decide that you're not really into street photography and that you'd rather be in a studio. But for me, street photography changed my life on so many levels. It's become a large part of my income, it's become a massive part of my artistic work, and it's helped me change the way that I see the world. It's changed the way I see the world in such a way where I see beauty in the most mundane things. I have a whole collection of photos of different public rubbish bins across the world, and it's not like some big statement about ecology. It's just because I think it's interesting how different bins are everywhere. Maybe I'm insane. If you're crazy like me, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. I'll see you next week, and of course, stay hydrated and create art.